request Uma Sudhir Garu. Uma Sudhir, as a renowned journalist, I know her for last 2 decades. She's a big crusader as far as South India, at least. She is executive editor for South Indian division of NDTV, which is a popular English channel here. And she's a very generous lady without any hypocrisy and humbleness. She many political and social issues she went crusading without any leaps and bounds. She extensively toured in the India, especially in the South India, and she's having a lot of knowledge about the public concern and public issues. Now I request Uma Sudhir Garu to make her observations and especially on the subject of media communications on climate change. Please, Umaji, it is for you. Please.
A very good afternoon to all of you, and thank you very much for this opportunity to listen in to all the panelists, the experts who are there in on this panel, and also giving me an opportunity to practice to speak about what passionately drives us and what brings us all together on this platform. And first of all, to put it actually very slightly, I should say, climate change is really the elephant in the room. And many people one cannot see it. That is one thing. Second kind of people are people who will not acknowledge it. And third kind of people are people who see it, who refuse to acknowledge that there is such a big elephant which is sitting in front of us, and for us to, in fact, acknowledge it and start acting towards whatever needs to be done towards it. All these three things are true, that it is that big elephant. And I'm very, very glad that, in fact, Jayanta Ghoshal said that he was sent, despite being a political reporter, how many media houses would even send if the Prime Minister was not going there and the political leaders or the politics of it was not happening? The technical sessions may be the substantive part of it, but nothing moves without the politics of it. And therefore, I think it's very relevant that a political reporter should go. The fact of the matter is, like Jayanta ji pointed out, that digital, print and electronic media or television and now other kinds of digital media are all underreporting this huge phenomenon that's happening. One is, of course, you can talk about ownership of media, their priorities, their understanding, and why we are not giving space to something like this. For ages together, we have spoken about the BBC model and other models and how they sustain themselves and how they decide priorities of news. And the second aspect of which is perhaps in our own control, we as journalists, our control is that we have very, very limited knowledge of this particular thing. We report on, quacks practicing as medical practitioners and prescribing medicines, but very often to look inwards towards ourselves, we are all quacks as journalists as well, because we don't actually get an opportunity to learn about different subjects before we can. We don't have the privilege of having specialists in any of the subjects, and therefore we try to do the best that we can in the given circumstances. Of course, our challenge is to make it interesting, to make it relevant, to break it up into small stories. Like Jayanta ji again was pointing out that in today's world, you're talking about even TV or newspapers being accessed on the phone, and therefore you need small 2-minute items, things that can be read in 1 minute. Stories are not defined by length of or the substantive material, but you say it's a 2-minute read, it's a 2-3 minute read, and that's what we need to do to break it up. But the challenge now for us is to say that all these things are happening. At least the people who are aware already know that this is a huge crisis. Whether all the headlines of today, if you were to talk about, Huzurabad politics, that's one thing. I'm saying every one of the headlines that we have had a climate change connection. I mean, we spoke about paddy and the chief minister saying, let's not grow paddy in this particular season. And he related it only obviously to the purchasing ability of the center or the states or the politics of it. But the larger question being that paddy is not environmentally sustainable, but we cannot go into those kind of debates except in very specialized kind of things. No government is capable of saying that we should not go for water intensive crops like paddy or like any of the others, in fact, that we are talking about. We only we talk about resilience and so on and so forth. So at this time, I think it's very interesting and important what the people who are hosting the conference, the UNEP executive director, when she said climate crisis is in our homes. And that's what we have been seeing when we say this urban flooding and we see this water, filling up the refrigerators and the bathrooms. Climate crisis is, is literally actually in our homes, and we still refuse to see it. And we look for villains here and there, whether it is political establishment or bureaucratic failures and so on. Whereas the larger phenomenon is this, and that, 6 years after, I stick to the topic of journalism to say that even now, if we were to actually do a poll, I mean, this is not to insult ourselves in front of the world. I'm thinking we as media have to look into the mirror and talk about the reality of it. And therefore, the 1.2 and 2, that is the most basic thing we say about in this climate conference. If you do a poll of journalists, unfortunately, not because they're not good people or they're not committed people, I can guarantee 75% will not be able to tell you what 1.5 or 2 is when we are talking about the climate challenge itself. And therefore, I think media organizations and we as individuals, we have a larger responsibility. Dilip ji, you spoke about the fact that we have that responsibility to tell people who are not knowing, and then make people who are refusing to acknowledge, and also make those who are refusing to see, to make them see all this. That is the duty that we have all been given. And therefore, it is, even though it is a very challenging thing, even though it's very technically very difficult for us, but I think we must bring it on the agenda and must start talking about issues like this, and then bring in the political pressure, so that only when political leaders say this is a big crisis, if the Prime Minister were to today say that this is a big crisis, he has such a huge following in the country that people will stand up or sit up and listen to what he's saying. And therefore, we need that pressure perhaps can be put by the media on the political establishments, whether it is the Chief Minister of Telangana or Mamata Banerjee or even the Prime Minister, to say that they have to start making those statements about beyond political lines. And that pressure is something that we in the media, I think, need to bring about. And the fact that despite our Montreal Protocol, we can say Paris Agreement, all that, it's very clear that no country is near doing any of the things that is enough. And many of those issues, like whether it's the methane thing we speak about, all those agreements, deforestation, India did not even want to be part of it for our own local reasons as well. Even if we had to talk about something like methane, again politics would come in. We'd say cow, buffalo, livestock. Cow means, oh no, holy, we cannot have. We all know that we have huge number of livestock, and the productivity is nowhere near anywhere in countries like the Netherlands or anywhere else. And yet we cannot talk about reducing livestock and having more a robust kind of a dairy or livestock system. All those are issues that we must start looking at it apolitically, and yet be able to bring it. The another word that they use, I mean, when we say half, we must reduce our emissions by half in 8 years, we say by 2030, we say methane emissions we must bring down, we say all this is Greek and Latin even to journalists. So how will we in fact tell the public about why all this is so important to all of us? The word that they used was, this is serious and existential. When COVID came, we thought we were taken by surprise. And when the climate crisis is going to come, even though now it may seem like a slow process of productivity falling in our agricultural fields, livestock, suffering because of that. You have fishing productivity, which is going to go down. We are seeing ocean currents that are actually taking fish away to the colder places and deeper, because the world is getting warmer. You spoke about the islands which are going to be actually disappearing. All these are crises which are actually now and here. It is no longer something in the future that we can address, and that we have very, very miserably failed in being able to tell the story. And how we are going to correct this is something that's very frightening to me. Every time a ventilator fails in a hospital and babies die, we are very worried about it, and we report about one villainizing one particular hospital or some staff in it which has failed. But the fact is that when crisis happens, it's not just about babies dying or about urban floods or about the farmer suicides. These are not individual things that are happening. They're part of a very, very complex story. And it is up to us, in fact, to break up those stories into little small things to be able, so that our we can take our people. We are also supposed to create that public opinion, isn't it? That debate in the public about, oh my God, this is something that is crisis here. All of us as journalists, when COVID came, we then had to learn about genetics. We had to learn about different strains and everything, vaccines and what this means. And we did manage to educate people. I think the media did a tremendous role in educating people about the science of all of it and an understanding to a large extent about all that. That same kind of a crisis is now here with climate, and all of us do know and realize, and yet we are refusing to acknowledge. The other thing is about the economics of it. We are talking about funding not coming, all that is okay. But even to acknowledge that climate crisis, I read a report which said that India is losing $87 billion every year because of climate crisis, and that's increasing part of our GDP, which is something that it never will strike us. When we see something happening, we are not able to tell people that this is such a big thing that's happening to us. And I think that's a big failure that we are doing. Even reporting on technologies, reporting on companies, Purushottam Garu and Jayanta also spoke about coal companies. We've so easily villainized the coal companies. I'm saying we are needing the power. We all want to use this power. How is this going to come? How are we going to choose different livelihoods and make them fashionable? I mean, fashionable in the sense, I don't mean fashionable in a page 3 sense, but to say that these are, a simpler lifestyle, less of this capitalism and acquisition of wealth. I read a very beautiful article in The Guardian. I don't remember who it was by, that spoke about arguing against capitalism. I'm not per se against capitalism, but how the acquisition of wealth is perhaps the biggest creator of carbon footprints. And we talk very simply about, just removing, plastic cup we won't use, plastic covers. Well, that is also important. The bigger picture actually lies in this wealth acquisition and how much of footprint. I mean, there was one more report I read which spoke about how so many of the delegates to the climate conference actually came in hundreds of planes to the conference, and many of them came in their private cars as well. So what kind of, shouldn't we be talking about those kind of issues? The irony of holding these rural conferences, poverty conferences in a 5-star, we say. Similarly, the irony of all these people bringing their huge, delegations of planes and cars to a climate conference where you are talking about reducing the carbon footprint and talking about those challenges. I think these are things that we as journalists would need to talk about. We can go on and on talking, looking into ourselves, but I think we as journalists, like when HIV came, we said there should be media houses need to now employ people who understand the language, who understand science, or who are willing to learn about it and do it. Now I think it's time for us to also speak about it through our social media channels, and also to create opportunity within our organizations for some people at least to understand and say that these are priorities that need to be looked at. And climate change, suddenly COVID took over. At that time, we were not aware of how the world is going to change. And climate change is going to be exactly like that, because it's a one-way road and all of us realize it. So for our thing is we need to wake up before the rest of the world. Everything happens, the disaster happens. I mean, like we have always been criticized that जब सब कुछ हो जाता है तो मीडिया आके कवर करता है. पुलिस के बारे में ऐसे कहते थे movies में. So now it is about the media also, that we need to give those warnings much before it happens, and how it is going to tell those individual small stories itself. You said beautifully that you're going to have, gender and climate change, children and climate change. They are the biggest stakeholders in this entire business. And as we all know, the poorest, whether it's the farmers, none of them, we have farmers agitations going on there, but the priorities of what climate change is going to do to their farming, to the wheat and to the rice cultivation, and why we are going on doing greater and greater money investment into irrigation projects, all those are questions which we as the media have failed. So largely, unfortunately, I will have to say that we are so far not been able to do what we can do or we should do. We can blame our media houses and finance for a lot of it, but I think a lot of responsibility is also on us as individuals to tell our individual small stories, and always encourage those kind of stories which are talking about good lifestyles, because change, every drops make an ocean, we say. And therefore, I think if we can do that, because when the big picture is there, it's very, very complex for all of us to be able to comprehend and tell those stories. But let's start telling at least the small stories, and then hopefully have enough among us to be able to analyze the bigger trends and to be able to say that this is the macro picture that we are looking at, and therefore we need to make these changes. Thank you. There is a lot more that I would have loved to speak about more in detail, but I'm not a subject expert, but feel a lot of angst that we are not able to do justice to all that we are supposed to do. Despite our limitations, we could still do better is my submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Umaji. I won't accept what you said, that you may not be expert in climate, but climate, how media has to report climate by using the new tools of communication, how to disseminate information into the public domain by making small stories which can influence the mind of reader. In that passionate, you are expert, and you gave a good message in this way. The old saying of master of none. Jock of all, master of none. That sentence is no more is a shelter for journalists hereafter. They must be, as you said, quoting AIDS coverage and COVID coverage, how they has to learn certain things, and they are to adapt to the new tools, and they are to the media has to be acted as a double-edged sword, one side motivating the people for their needs, their necessities, and their role to play in democracy. The other side, the accountability, answerability of the rulers who are at the helm of affairs. This role we supposed to do, that media has to do, and moreover, their perceptionally and capacity-wise, both angles. It is not the question of capability alone, knowledge alone, but at the same time, perceptionally, they must adopt such a great quality that it is no more an issue of future. It is a threat for the present itself. So that perception should come in. Thank you very much for your good insights and motivation for journalist community. I requested a young couple of journalists to join today's program, journalism school students, and for all of them, this is a guiding message. Thank you, Umaji. Thank you.
I would actually suggest that young journalists make this as their specialization and start reading up about it. You will realize that every little thing that you read about will become useful to you in some stage or the other when you're reporting for print, electronic, or digital media. So start reading up. That's one of the first things that you must do. Start listening to people. Now audio is available, video is available. We people had to go to libraries when we started off to do any research. Everything is available.
But today everything
so
into
the
into fist, in fist. They are getting in hand readily. Old world. Thank you very much.